Anyway, immigration's been thrust into the forefront with the latest government announcements, so I just thought I wanted to just sort of address a few things that I saw that, just didn't make any sense to me, because a small perspective shift could potentially have you deciding on the complete opposite solution morally. So the first one of these is the immigrants are coming here to take our jobs thing. So I don't believe this is really true. But the people who tend to say this sort of stuff, I think, are touching on something that they're just not expressing properly. And it's that when you have a large amount of people coming into a place that will accept a lower standard of pay because they accept a lower standard of living, why would a company pay somebody more to do the same job? As long as they were sufficiently skilled to do the job to exactly the same standard. Why a company literally has no incentive to hire somebody local at a higher rate. None. But then that drives down the wages for everybody else, which means that anybody else who wants to break into this kind of career type, we'll call it that, will either have to accept a lower standard of pay or will have to get out of the industry. So I think this is where because coming to take our jobs is such a low IQ take on things, but it's one that you might be left with if you had a low IQ after noticing that you couldn't take part in a job that involved food production because you needed to have enough to support your family. So the next thing I wanted to address was the insistence that we need doctors and nurses. Therefore, we need to have immigration to get in more doctors and nurses. And I feel this is kind of a deeply facetious argument, because that's kind of self-centered, isn't it? I mean, don't these countries need these people where they come from? So I had a little look into the statistics, and I found this stuff from the World Health Organization. It's from 2006, so technically it's old data, but I think it's valid nonetheless. It was the best graphical representation I was able to find. And look at how many, the percentage of the global health worker workforce Europe takes up. And I'm putting this up on the screen, so I know you can see it, but look at bloody Africa. It's tiny. So, as you can see from the key down at the bottom, the size of the circle is the amount that's being spent. And so you kind of get this sort of quite stark picture that Europe, despite spending pretty much almost as much as all of the Americas on our social healthcare that's apparently so brilliant, we're taking the doctors from these places on the left that have such a tiny amount of the global physician populace that it just, the whole idea of pulling people from other countries over to here with higher wages is just deeply wrong. I mean, do we think that Africa would have quite so many problems with, say, Ebola? Or maybe the new fatal disease that's actually not the coronavirus. I mean, the arrogance. And that kind of brings me on to, the source of the problem, The politicians will often, that we need specialist skills thing. It's kind of links to the we need doctors, nurses, engineers thing. But I think from the political class, this is where the failing has come. Because when we kind of realise, we don't have enough trained medical staff, a politician will not think, I need to find a good solution to this because that's how I'll get myself re-elected. Actually, they're thinking, I need to make this problem go away, and that's how I'll get elected. And so, for a politician who finds that, we've got a shortage of doctors, not only is the most effective answer not to actually start training people in this country, it starts to become really, really unattractive, because if you try to train people within the country to fix a problem that you've noticed, chances are you'll notice it when you're in like the second term of a majority, like your second year of a majority government. Yeah. The problem with medicine and these kinds of things is that just to become a nurse, the degree takes 3 years. And if you want to become a doctor, the degree can take like 6 years, or if you come out to it after the fact, like you can be in training for like 8 years just as a specialist for certain professions. And the problem with that is that we've got a fixed term for our politicians. So they don't really care about anything that happens beyond 4 years. So if they kind of make a drive, create a new fund to create a university for training up more medical staff, they literally aren't going to be training anyone for at least until the next political term. In which case, if you haven't answered that problem of like, we need this solved, then chances are you're not going to be voted in. In which case, when the problem starts to fix itself because of the decisions you've made, your opponents are going to take the damn credit. And so, of course, the easy option when faced with that sort of conundrum as a politician is just, well, fuck it, we can import people from the other nations. That'll fix the need for the doctors, and it'll get me re-elected next year.